fucking lazy therapist thing to say, to be like, well, what do you want to talk about this week?
This white lady therapist went on a whole rant about how asking the client what they want to work on is a really lazy thing because the therapist should basically be leading the session. And this phenomena is very common, especially around white therapists and therapists who still uphold colonial dynamics of therapy in the therapeutic room, where they believe that they are the expert and they believe that they know best and they know what the client needs. And it's also not very trauma informed. The whole point of creating a trauma informed therapy space is that you give the client autonomy and agency, because when you experience trauma, all of your agency and autonomy has literally been taken away from you with that experience that you had. And therapy might be the only place where they actually get to decide and choose, how do I want to talk about things? When do I want to talk about them? But unfortunately, white women and white therapists in particular care more about moral righteousness and virtue signaling and making sure that they position themselves as the one who is going to fix you and heal you. And then they use therapy as a way to feed their own savior complex, to really make sure that you feel like they're the reasons why you have healed or that you're better. Therapists like that are the reason why a lot of people have such negative experiences in therapy.
I agree with what this creator said, and I'm going to add to it. I was recently asked, why is it that people don't go to therapy who are first responders, military men, things like that? I said, because you have people doing therapy who shouldn't. I was in my PhD program for psychology at a very well-known brick and mortar university. And I'm literally on sabbatical because they were talking about being a social media psychologist or whatever. And it was just BS. There were people in there 21, 22, 23. You could not get in a PhD program when you were in your early 20s over a decade ago. There are people in therapy for money. They can't afford to leave. Used to be, you took sabbaticals if you were a mental health therapist. You did. I haven't heard a therapist saying they're on sabbatical in over a decade now. Also, toxic positivity. A therapist that I literally had to get on her. And we did part ways. But the thing was, you're not going to tell me what's negative when I literally am here to talk about things I need to talk about. And you'll literally have people in therapy who will give you their trauma and tell you what they did in their past. And I'm like, I know too much about you, and you don't know enough about me. I'm not just talking about white women. I'm saying I've had therapy with white women, black women, Asian women, Spanish women, East Indian women. People don't know how to hold space for people, and I'm a veteran. So when people call me to say, I need Kimberly to sit down, first and foremost, I'm just sitting there listening, and I'm going to hold space, because you know what? I have a morbid side and a dark side to where it's really nothing you can tell me that's going to make me say, oh my God, because I've seen it. And this is why peer therapy is important. I honestly don't even like talking to people who are not my equal at this point in time. I don't. I don't want to talk to somebody where I'm having to educate you on what neurodiversity is, TBI, and all this, and you're trying to get smart with me to tell me you know when you know you don't. It's not your specialty. And they're burned out. A therapist I knew, she literally had a house. She had not cleaned the carpet in over a decade. Dogs had died, and people know when your dogs pass, they just lose function, right? This woman was a hoarder. She had a whole lot going on. And listen, if you are going through something, why are you advising people you should be stepping down? But people can't afford to. And they're advising you when their life is in complete chaos. I don't agree with that. And you can sit here and get in the weeds and say, oh, well, they're human. I don't care. You're human. You need to take a break and get your life together before you advise other people. And when I say people at the Veterans Hospital, people in medical, like psychiatrists, psychologists, LPCs, all across the board, should be stepping down, and they're not. Guess why? And you're sitting here saying, well, why don't because first responders see y'all. They see y'all. They know who you are. They know what you're doing. No, I don't want to talk to you because I see you too. Also, you don't know the signs. Robin Williams was a surprise. Why? When people are high functioning, they can be high functioning depressed. Too many times people don't know people are a literal threat to themselves. And I know we've seen it enough, right? And that comes with experience. But I also pay attention to detail.